Joining us today is Scott Ellam, the founder and CEO of Connecting Excellence Group, listed on the Aquis Exchange with the ticker XCE. So welcome, Scott, for the first time. How are things?
Very good, thank you. Very good. We've just completed our IPO, so been a busy time.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was only a few days ago, wasn't it? The 11th of December, I think.
Yeah, the 11th of December.
So first of all, just tell us a little bit about, the company, because I know that the core business has been going for quite a number of years, since 2014. So I'd like to get a bit of an understanding of the core business and sort of how that's been going, what you're really into, and how that's led to the public listing, and of course the Bitcoin treasury strategy that was announced in the RNS. But first of all, just give us a bit of back history, if you can, to the company.
Yeah, so back history to the company. We've listed with XCE ticker, Connected Excellence Group PLC, but we have the flagship operating business, which is called Spencer Riley. So that's an international executive recruitment company placing mid, senior and executive level individuals around the world across a number of different industries. So we work within professional services with the likes of the Big Four. We work in logistics with the likes of UPS. We work in gaming, in tech. We work in life sciences. And we work across construction and engineering. So you're quite typical, if you like, headhunting business that works internationally.
Okay. And how has the business fared over the last, just over 10 years now? You founded it from a fairly young age. How's it fared? How's the business? What's the health of the business?
Yeah, I found it from quite a young age. I was quite a high performing consultant when I started my career. I had the confidence to found the business at a young age, and we've grown organically, and we've been profitable for a decade with the operating business. So we've got a strong, experienced team, and the business is very much, I suppose, sector. It's a platform for growth, but that growth is sector agnostic and regional agnostic, as is the business in some manner. If construction and engineering is having a real boom period, but another area might be slowing down, then we tend to have strong, resilient revenues. And if a specific region is having a lower economic period and one is having a boom period, then we can move towards that region. So we do all of our work from the UK because it's a good time zone. But it's been an interesting 10 years. And over the last 5 years, we've developed a much more significant international presence. So 70% of our revenue is from North America, Europe, Middle East.
Okay, interesting. Before we talk about the IPO and, of course, the Bitcoin treasury strategy and indeed your general strategy going forward now you're on the market, are you able to give a bit of a snapshot of the business, the core business, Spencer Riley, in terms of perhaps head count? I don't know if you can share revenue numbers or forecast. I'm not sure how much detail you can go into, but just to give investors a snapshot, if you like, of the health of the main business.
Yeah. So we've had I think 30+% compound annual revenue growth rate since 2020. The business is a business that turns over 1.5 million, makes around 700,000 gross profit. And that gross profit figure is minus basic salaries, commissions and bonuses. So it's a really healthy figure. And as a business, to give a real indication of the platform for growth we have, placements of a candidate will be between £15,000 to £100,000 per individual that the company places. And the way in which you would scale an international executive recruitment company is attracting high billing, high performing staff. So the staff are the revenue driver, the people are the revenue driver. So we have a team of just under 15 people at the moment. We plan to scale that, and we plan to use the combination of the PLC, the Bitcoin treasury, and the platform for growth in the Spencer Riley operating business to develop and grow our revenues and our profit to support the strategy long term.
Okay, so let's talk then about the IPO and now on the public markets here. First of all, before we talk about the Bitcoin angle to it, what drove you to going for a public listing?
So we've had a Bitcoin strategy since 2021, and that strategy has been buy and hold with any surplus cash. So since 2021, we have acquired just under 10 Bitcoin at an average purchase price of 37,500. That's pre-IPO.
Okay.
We now hold a significant amount more Bitcoin than that. The reason for the Bitcoin treasury strategy is it's a finite asset capped at 21 million, hard fix on the supply. It's unconfiscatable and you can move it anywhere in the world without a third party permission. Those elements, we believe, make it a very strong commodity asset, money to hold as a treasury reserve asset. And I believe so since 2021. And that's allowed us to go to the IPO and to the public status that we are today with a really strong team on board, because that 4-year history has proven that the founder and the CEO, if you like, myself, has the conviction to be able to buy throughout any period, whether that's a drawdown in the price or whether that's an increase in the price. My conviction and my passion and belief does not waver. So we've got the likes of Adam Back, who was the first person to receive an email from Satoshi Nakamoto before Bitcoin was launched as a key strategic investor. And Adam is also running an IPO or a SPAC, in the USA on the NASDAQ with Cantor Fitzgerald. And that's launching with a seed of more than 30,000 Bitcoin, certainly 25,000 from Adam and his friends. And it's the history of this business over the last 4 years that has allowed us to attract such a strong team of not just key strategic investors like Adam Back, but also the board that we have. So what it allows us to do, in summary, is then grow the operating business's revenues by attracting that high billing talent and high performing talent that I mentioned earlier through innovative share options that are reliant on those people bringing revenue and profit to the business. So we intend to disrupt the industry.
So that was the real reason behind the IPO then, was to enable you to do these sort of share options to attract that interest into the business, to grow it generally, and also the Bitcoin treasury angle as well. That's
one of the reasons, yes. So the organic revenue growth and organic profit growth on top of a scalable plug and play platform, if you like. If someone wants to join the business and they can prove this is the amount of revenue that they generate, the clients and candidates that it can bring, they can come in. But the other aspect is it allows us to access not just the UK capital markets, but the international capital markets. And I wanted to make sure we built a team that could deliver a disciplined, robust, and ambitious Bitcoin treasury strategy. So we are focused on increasing Bitcoin per share for our investors. And board advisor Richard Byworth set up a Bitcoin denominated hedge fund in Switzerland that's holding circa 5,000 Bitcoin and targets, I think, between a 3 and a 6% return in Bitcoin denominated terms. Now, he's a globally known specialist in this space with a background at Nomura, running their convertible bonds, derivatives desk, futures desk. So we're a headhunting executive recruitment company. It was a chance to build a team that would impress and showcase our business to future clients in this space as well. So we want to be active in the capital markets. We're looking at designing, I believe Richard and Adam have been known for being very innovative. So the convertible bonds that are Bitcoin denominated were designed by Adam, and Richard has a lot of experience in that space. So we're going to look at an ambitious plan for 2026, shall we say.
Okay, I do want to come on to that in a moment, but there's just a couple of things I want to just unpack first of all. So you said that the company started on your conviction, buying and holding Bitcoin from 2021. So did you have a strategy for that? Well, there's two questions. First of all, was that just something you thought was a prudent thing to do, or it excited you, or you really believed in the Bitcoin, what it promised for the future? And how did you do it? Was it dollar cost averaging over months, a certain amount every month, or how did you actually allocate capital to it?
So I have a personal history with Bitcoin from, say, 2016, discovering Bitcoin on them 3 elements that I discussed that drew me to it. So a long time studying the asset and a long time going through those peaks and troughs that we saw in the early adoption years. So when we got to 2021, and I mean, effectively the the governments around the world and the central banks around the world agreed to print a lot of money to delay an economic shock that would have probably dwarfed the Lehman Brothers style collapse. And they were able to do that because we don't have a gold exchange standard anymore since Richard Nixon caused the Nixon shock, if you like, in 1971. So I already had the sound money thesis, and I had the conviction, and I am a student of monetary history, if you like, and I believe that that was the right time to start allocating to hard assets. It would be very difficult for us to hold gold in the office securely. And Bitcoin is the obvious option for me, the one I have a higher conviction in for the next 100 years or next few decades as a suitable use for businesses. So the decision was quite easy for me. And the plan at the time was to buy and hold as much Bitcoin as possible as a private business. That's allowed us to then have more time and more opportunity to consider how we grow this business and build it and disrupt our industry. And that requires being a PLC to access the capital markets and be able to also support the Bitcoin native industry. So we've been retained by a Bitcoin investment fund to do some senior level hiring already, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more roles to come from that market.
Interesting. And how are you allocating cash to Bitcoin? Is it a percentage of profit margins per month, or are you just kind of picking a moment in time and just dumping load in? What's the approach to it?
Our approach is that over the long term, the price will be up, and you have a welcoming regulatory regime in the US, and the UK regulatory regime seems to be following their lead. You have JP Morgan discussing Bitcoin for their clients now and a convertible bond offering as well. And you have BlackRock with their highest performing ETF, the IBIT Bitcoin ETF. So we believe that it's the amount of Bitcoin we acquire that I am focused on, not necessarily the price that day or that minute. So we're allocating all surplus cash and capital raised that we see prudent and suitable to do so. But in 2021, you asked earlier, it was a very similar strategy at that time. So we had a daily dollar cost average set up, but if we had a time where cash was increased, we would allocate heavily. And at that time, there was an 80% drawdown, if you remember.
Yes, the crypto winter, the Bitcoin winter.
Yeah,
yes.
And our revenues doubled year on year through that period. So we are uncorrelated, if you like, to the Bitcoin price as an executive recruitment company. That doesn't mean PwC are not hiring a director in the Middle East. They're not too focused on the Bitcoin price. So our revenues grew and we were able to acquire more Bitcoin. So the focus is on buying more, not focusing on the price that day.
Absolutely. Okay. Fantastic. There's a couple more questions. You mentioned a couple of investors there. So Adam Back and Richard Bywood, I think was his name. These are kind of people you're looking to get involved effectively. What kind of investors are you looking to get on now that you're listed?
The investors that we would like to see, there's a lot of trapped capital in the UK, and there's a lot of incentives for people to find UK stocks and shares, not just in the UK, but internationally. So in the UK, you have a significant amount of capital trapped in ISAs and SIPs that people like myself have allocated to businesses that allow them both the operational upside and also a treasury upside. And then from an institutional level, there are hedge funds and there are significant investors around the world like Adam Back and others who are involved in this business and invested in this business. But ultimately, whether that's businesses that are understanding the business or not, my passion is actually educating on the asset. So I'm happy to speak to traditional investors. I want to make sure that we are giving them the full understanding of how people measure these businesses, what good performance looks like, and ultimately helping them understand that we're geared towards increasing their Bitcoin per share over the long term. And that's our mission and that's our focus for them.
So ordinary investors who can get exposure to Bitcoin backed effectively by a very profitable and successful recruitment business. And then you want to attract some I don't know, want to say more sophisticated or more involved investors, so you can do the share option element you talked about as well?
Yeah, so we believe if we are to design and draft innovative products such as the ones that Adam and Richard have been involved in before, like the Bitcoin denominated convertible bonds, that will be appealing to the institutions who are holding the asset directly, because it is for them, there's an upside with a removed downside, and they may pay a premium for that. But for our shareholders, they can see that we have the access to those investors, we have the access to that significant amount of capital, and we have the ability to then grow it. So we will look at designing things like that. We'll look at innovative capital raising products as we move into the future to benefit our shareholders. And it aligns with the team inside the business as well. People are performing highly to earn some share options in the business. So it's a talent attraction tool, it's a talent motivation tool, it's a talent retention tool, and the talent in the business is aligned with our investors going forward.
Excellent. Well, finally, Scott, just looking, and you mentioned 2026 would be a growth year for you, a good year for you. So I'm getting the sense that there's lots of elements to this. You've got the core business, of course, to continue to grow. You've got your Bitcoin policy, which will just continue, I assume, in a similar manner to what you've been already doing for the last 4 years. And then you've got these newer growth options that you just talked about. So what would you like to achieve throughout 2026, let's say? Rather than going into detail on all those elements, what would be the 1, 2, or 3 things you'd really want to have achieved by, throughout the course of next year?
I suppose we would like to make sure that we are as effectively positioned to attract good long-term capital as possible. We were significantly oversubscribed on our institutional raise at the IPO last week, and we were several times oversubscribed on the wrap retail offer. We want to continue building the business to be as attractive to investors over the long term as possible, and that requires significantly strong execution from us. So I'd like to achieve on the Bitcoin treasury side, increased Bitcoin per share at the highest level that the market will allow, and in the greatest, most accretive fashion possible for our investors. And then on the operational side, we want to continue and ideally increase on that kind of growth rate that we've seen by attracting high billing staff. And one of the areas I'm really excited about is we've just started the Bitcoin executive recruitment division. And I think there's been a really strong but silent demand for that service. So we've been retained on a chief investment officer role, vice president role by Bitcoin investment funds who are managing the funds that decide if people want a fund that's structured towards businesses like ours, or businesses, rather than businesses, ETFs that are just spot Bitcoin exposure. So just to continue building our network in the space and becoming known as the Bitcoin powered international recruitment company in 2026.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for introducing all of that to us today. I look forward to following that story. If I don't speak to you before Christmas, then have a happy Christmas. I'm looking forward to following the story in 2026. But Scott Ellam, the founder and CEO of Connecting Excellence Group, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Look forward to speaking in 2026.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.